Welcome to Python's systems architecture, the module where individual classes become a coordinated system. In the previous module, you built a single business request class in isolation. Real applications need multiple classes that collaborate, a manager that holds collections, components that delegate to each other, and specialized subclasses that extend base behavior. This module covers the two fundamental relationships between classes, composition and inheritance. You'll build a request manager that contains business request objects and an urgent request that extends business requests. More importantly, you'll learn the decision framework for choosing between two patterns, a choice that determines how maintainable, testable, and extensible your code becomes. The golden rule for the end of this module is the single most important OOP design principle. Prefer composition over inheritance. This slide establishes why objects don't exist in isolation in real systems. Consider the business request class from the previous module. Useful on its own, but a real application needs to manage dozens or hundreds of requests simultaneously. Who creates them? Who stores them? Who retrieves them by priority or department? Who runs the reports across the entire collection? These responsibilities don't belong inside of business request itself. That would violate the single responsibility principle. They belong to a collaborating object. This is the core motivation for multiple class designs. When a class tries to do everything, it becomes a god class, bloated, untestable, and impossible to change without breaking unrelated features. The solution is to distribute responsibilities across focused classes that collaborate through well-defined interfaces. This module shows you how to wire those collaborations correctly. This slide introduces the two pathways for class relationships. The has-a relationship, also called composition, means one class contains an instance of another as an attribute. A request manager has a list of business requests objects. The car has an engine. This relationship is used when one object owns or manages another. The is-a relationship, also called inheritance, means one class is a specialized version of another. An urgent request is a business request with additional behavior. A sports car is a car. This relationship is used when a new type extends the behavior of an existing type. The choice between these two relationships is one of the most sequential design decisions in object-oriented programming. The wrong choice produces brittle, hard-to-test code. The design framework later in this module will give you a reliable test for which relationship applies to a given scenario. This slide builds the composition relationship concretely. A request manager class contains a list of business request objects as an attribute. The init the manager initializes, self.request is equal to an empty list that will grow as requests are added. A method, add_request self, request, appends a business request instance to the list. A method, get_by_priority, self, priority, filters and returns only the request matching the given priority. The manager owns the collection. The requests own their own data and behavior. Neither class knows the internal details of the other. They communicate only through method calls and return values. This is a sequence at the essence of encapsulation in a multi-class system. Each class manages its own state, and collaboration happens through a defined interface. The manager doesn't reach into request attributes directly. It calls request methods. This slide covers encapsulation in the context of class composition. Encapsulation means each class manages its own internal state and exposes only what collaborators need to see. The request manager should not directly manipulate request.status is equal to active from outside the business request class. That violates the boundary. Instead, it calls request.process and lets the request manage its own state transition. This principle matters most when systems grow. If every class in your code base can directly modify every attribute of every other class, a change to how business requests track status requires auditing every file that touches that attribute. If only business request can modify its own status, changes are contained. Think of encapsulation as a contract. The class defines what it can do. The outside world calls those capabilities without caring how they're implemented internally. Here we introduce inheritance. This is a relationship. Urgent request inherits from business request. Using the syntax class, urgent request, business request, inheritance means urgent request automatically receives every attribute and method defined in business request. The initializer, process, complete, and the dunder without redefining them. It then extends and overrides as needed. An urgent request might add an escalation level attribute or override process to also trigger an escalation notification. The subclass is a specialized version of the parent. It can do everything the parent can do, plus more. When you call urgent.process, Python looks in urgent request first, and if a process method is defined there, it runs that version. If not, it falls back to business request.process. This lookup chain is the inheritance mechanisms in action. Here, we're going to be covering the super init, the mechanism for calling a parent class's initializer from a child class. When urgent request.init is defined, Python does not automatically call business request.init. You must call it explicitly when super dunder init dunder title priority department. This ensures that urgent request instances get all the base attributes, self.title, self.priority, self.status, set up correctly. And then the child's dunder init dunder adds the new attributes specific to the urgent requests. Forgetting to use super dunder init dunder is one of the most common inheritance bugs. The child instance is created without any of the parent's attributes, causing attribute error the moment any parent method tries to access them. The rule: always call super init as the first line of any child class. Dunder init dunder that accepts the same parameters as the parent. This decision table shows you a reliable test for choosing between composition and inheritance. Ask two questions. First, does the relationship make sense as is A? Could you say X is a kind of Y accurately? An urgent request is a kind of business request. That's accurate. A request manager is a kind of business request. That doesn't make sense. Second, will the subclass need everything the parent has? If the child needs 80% of the parent's behavior plus extensions, inheritance fits. If the child only needs 20% of the parent's behavior, composition is cleaner. The misuse of inheritance is one of the most common sources of unmaintainable code. Developers inherit when they should compose because it feels like a shortcut. Use the two-question test every time you reach for inheritance. The golden rule of object-oriented design is on this slide. Prefer composition over inheritance. When in doubt, compose. Inheritance creates tight coupling between parent and child classes. Changes to the parent cascade down to all subclasses, often in unexpected ways. A deeply nested inheritance hierarchy becomes impossible to reason about. Composition creates looser coupling. The containing class interacts with the contained class only through its public interface, and changes to internal implementations don't propagate unless the interface changes. Composition is also more flexible at runtime. You can sweep one implementation of request store for another, in-memory versus database, without changing the request manager that uses it. Reserve inheritance for cases where the is-a relationship is genuinely true and stable, and the subclass really does extend rather than just reuse parent behavior. This slide introduces the transition from in-memory objects to persistent storage, the architectural evolution your capstone project will make. Right now, your request manager stores requests in a Python list. Self.request is equal to an empty list. When the program ends, all the data disappears. A real application persists data between sessions. Requests created today are still there tomorrow. The preview shows how the class structure maps to a database schema. The business request class maps to a business requests table. Each attribute maps to a column, and the request manager maps to the query layer that inserts, retrieves, and updates rows. The core insight: your class design decisions now determine your database schema later. A well-designed class with clean attributes and clean method boundaries translates directly to a clean, maintainable database layer. Object-oriented programming and persistence aren't separate concerns. They're the same architecture at different layers. Here we present the complete system architecture blueprint that the previous slide has been building towards. The diagram shows 3 layers working together. The business request class is the domain model. It owns request data and behavior. The request manager is a service layer. It owns the collection and provides query operations. The persistence layer, coming in the next module, is the storage layer. It handles database read-write options. Each layer has a single responsibility, communicates well through well-defined interfaces, and can be tested independently. This layer architecture is the pattern used in production Python applications. Web APIs, data pipelines, and enterprise tools all follow this separation of concerns. You're building a mental model now that will let you navigate, understand, and contribute to real code bases when you encounter them. This module has introduced 2 fundamental class relationships: composition, has A, and inheritance is A, along with the golden rule for choosing between them. You've built a request manager that manages a collection of business request objects through composition, and an urgent request that extends business requests through inheritance. You've seen how super.dunder wires child class initialization to the parent, and how encapsulation keeps each class responsible for its own state. The decision table gives you a reliable framework for the future design choices. In the next module, the OOP design blueprint, you'll formalize these skills into a design-first workflow. 4 questions to answer before writing any class. Noun extraction to identify your classes from a specification, and a complete anti-pattern catalog to help you recognize and avoid the most common object-oriented programming mistakes. This final slide bridges from the mechanics of class relationships to the practice of system design. You now know how classes relate to each other. The next skill is designing systems before coding them. Starting to code before you've mapped your classes and relationships is one of the most extensive mistakes in software development. You build the wrong thing, discover the structure is wrong halfway through, and face a costly rewrite. The OOP design blueprint module introduces a design-first methodology. Extract nouns from your specification to identify classes. Use a relationship diagnostic matrix to determine compositions and inheritances. Apply the 10-word rule to name methods clearly. And document your design before writing the first line of code. Design isn't overhead. It's the investment that makes implementation faster and code maintainable.